Have you ever felt like your head was about to explode over something and later realized it wasn't even that serious? Or maybe you've held on to anger for so long that one day it just spilled out and you said or did something you deeply regret. Now imagine if all of that could have been prevented with just a simple glass of water. That's exactly what happened one seemingly ordinary morning to a group of college students. They walked into class expecting another standard lecture, but that day, the professor didn't open any books, turn on the projector, or write on the board. He walked in silently, and in his hand, he held just one thing: a glass of water. In the front row sat Julia, anxious about her internship, barely sleeping under the weight of expectations. Beside her, David, still angry from a fight with his father. And in the back, quiet Luca, always calm on the outside, but constantly afraid of losing control. What they didn't know was that the simple glass carried a lesson that would forever change the way they understood anger and how to deal with it. The professor looked at the class in silence. He held the glass of water firmly by the base and walked slowly to the center of the room. Then, raising the glass, he asked, "How much do you think this glass weighs?" The students glanced at each other. Julia guessed, "About 200 grams?" David said, "Maybe 300. The professor smiled and replied, "Actually, the exact weight doesn't matter. What matters is how long I hold it." He paused. "If I hold this glass for a minute, no problem. If I hold it for an hour, my arm will start to ache. If I try to hold it all day, it'll go numb, stiff. I might not even be able to move it anymore." The class began to pay closer attention. Then he added, "This glass is like anger, frustration, resentment. If you carry it for a few seconds, that's okay. But if you hold on to it for hours, days, weeks, the pain increases, your energy drains, and sooner or later, you'll drop it. But unlike water, when anger overflows, it destroys." At that moment, the room fell completely silent. From the back, Luca stared at the glass like he was looking into his own life. He thought about the times he snapped at his mom over small things, the doors he'd slammed, the friendships that quietly slipped away. Julia remembered the last argument she had with her boyfriend, not because of what he said, but because of everything she'd been bottling up for weeks. David took a deep breath. In the fight with his father, he exploded. He shouted things he didn't even mean, simply because he was full to the brim. The professor gently placed the glass on the table, looked at the students, and said, "Learn this. Holding on to anger doesn't make you stronger. Knowing when to let go, that's what sets you free." In the days that followed, something had shifted. That simple image of the glass had taken root in each student's mind. But understanding the weight wasn't enough. They had to learn how to let go. It wasn't about ignoring anger. It's human, natural, inevitable. The lesson was about refusing to let it take over. Anger, when left unchecked, poisons your thoughts, your words, your relationships. So how do you let go of the invisible glass? The first step is awareness. Most people feel the pain but don't recognize the source. That constant irritation, the short temper, emotional exhaustion, all signs of a glass that's too full. The second step is building healthy outlets, not to scream or suppress, but to release. Simple acts, journaling late at night, walking in silence.
breathing deeply until the storm inside quiets down, small rituals that defuse the trigger before it pulls. The third step, the power of waiting. Waiting a few minutes before replying to that passive-aggressive message. Waiting a few hours before making a decision in anger. Time doesn't erase emotions, but it brings clarity. It turns reactions into choices. And finally, the fourth step, forgiveness. Not the poetic kind, but the practical one. It begins quietly, in your own mind. Holding on to resentment doesn't hurt the other person. It only poisons you. Letting go isn't weakness, it's freedom.
Over time, the image of that glass became a quiet warning in their daily lives. Julia started journaling every night, not to record events, but to empty emotions. David learned to pause. When something triggered him, he stepped away and returned only when his mind was clear. Luca, the quiet one, began to open up, not to blame, but to breathe lighter. There was no dramatic transformation, just small choices made with a new awareness that anger only holds power when you give it space to grow, and that holding on is a choice, just like letting go. Often, it's not what happens that damages our relationships. It's how we react. That tiny space between the impulse and the action, that's where everything changes. So if you're carrying too much right now, old anger, silent resentment, unspoken irritation, pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Picture that invisible glass in your hands. Feel the weight. Now, gently, let it go. And remember, self-control isn't about suppressing emotion. It's knowing when something stops helping and starts holding you back. Real strength isn't in shouting louder. It's in choosing the silence that heals over the outburst that destroys. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share it with someone who needs to let go of their own glass. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, short, real, and transformational.